And we are live. Happy Monday, everybody. To all of you in the US, when you tune in, I want to wish you a happy Memorial Day. A happy Memorial Day to us all. So we have one person on board. So as you're the first person on board, if you want to let me know which deck you want the affirmation cards from, the first person on here, I don't know. Vicky, hello, happy Monday, Vicky. Which deck do you want? The I Am Sacred or the I Am Vibrational affirmation deck? Let me know. And meanwhile, I will light the candle. Inhale. Oh, so I've got my overhead fan on and the candle is taking a bit of a challenge to light. Okay, so there's my beautiful angel candle all set up for today. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Karen Ann. Who else have we got on here? We've got, oh gosh, everybody, loads of people coming on, and it's all scrolling up. So Vicky is choosing the deck today. We've got Edia, Vicky, Karen, Jennifer, Anne. Good morning from Kelowna, early childhood educators of BC. Kim's on as well. So Vicky has said the I Am Sacred. So let me shuffle away that. And then we will get, please, she says, I am sacred. Let's see what our focus is going to be for today. Okay, let me just see. Ah, come on, cards. Oh, there she be. Card number 14, I am sacred, having faith in every vibrational moment. And there's the thinker there sitting there. So I think that is very appropriate at the moment. So I will post that a little later on. So thank you for that, Vicky, for choosing us. So yes, happy Memorial Day to all the US listeners and to everyone else. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a spectacular Monday. It's noon. Woohoo! And we're set up for another week of amazing shifts in our frequency. This week, the reading from Spirit is Tune In, Change Your Story, which totally aligns to who I have with me today, Chris Lee. So welcome and thank you for being with us.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let me now introduce Chris Lee, who has been a clinical hypnotherapist for 25 years and has developed a system using past life regression therapy to eliminate persistence, aches, pains, fears, phobias, and debilitating emotions. And just so all of you know who are watching now, his technique involves no medicine, no prescriptions, no operations, and no ongoing therapy. Instead, you're using your subconscious memories. And of course, for anyone that knows me and Chris, you know that we are married. Yes, he's Mr. Chris Lee and I'm Mrs. Chris Lee and he's Mrs. Debbie Anderson. So I decided to keep my maiden name because that's who everybody knows him by. So anyway, we've known each other for about 24 years this lifetime, yeah? And even how we met, which we won't go into today, was all about synchronicity and that it was time for us to reconnect again in this lifetime. So the topic of conversation today is, are you being affected by a past life? So Chris, explain what you do and how we can open this conversation. And if anybody has any questions, throw them up underneath here and then we can pull them up as we go along. Okay? I am sacred, please. Yes, we got it earlier. So yeah, we have that. Great. All right, Chris.
Thank you, Debbie, for inviting me on your show. It's been a while since I've seen you. What, 30, 40 seconds? Okay. One thing I point out to the audience is that I had a haircut in January and haven't had one since because hairstylists and cutters are still closed.
Come back, all is forgiven.
Okay. So we'll get that out of the way. Yeah, what it's about, Debbie, as you know, is that I took my training about 25 years ago as a clinical hypnotherapist. But how did I get started? Through my working life, I've done a lot of sales and a few years as a police constable. And from this, I realized that I really enjoy dealing with people and figuring them out. So then 25 years ago, I had a chance to take a clinical hypnotherapy program. And I figured that's a good way of figuring out people.
Sit
Now, the
still.
thing about it is that it was just regular hypnotherapy, which is what almost every hypnotherapy school teaches. Very rarely do they teach anything to do with past life. Now, being male and often typical, not sure or going to see it for real, I wasn't sure about past lives, but I figured there had to be something. And while we were at the training, there was 24 of us in the class, and it was in Vancouver. And the instructor, somebody must have asked him about past lives. So he said, is anybody here interested in a demonstration on past lives? So 24 hands went up. And he says, anybody want to volunteer? 24 hands came down. Okay. Nothing to do with fear, just we all wanted to watch it. Not
Yeah.
we figured, you disappear and all that kind of stereotype thing, but
Mm.
it's not. So what happened though is that we bantered back and forth, and one of the girls volunteered. So now what was interesting, I made notes, and I always like to go and
Mm.
make keep an open mind, because remember, it's about the open mind. It works a lot better. So what
Mhm.
happened was he regressed her back to the 1930s and asked her questions, and she said she was a male, about age 10, in the States, playing on train tracks.
Mm.
So I went, So then she said, along came a train, and the tracks and the switches, and in those days they were already electric, closed on the boy's foot, and unfortunately the train ran over him. But it's okay, he came back another life.
Of course.
And these people a little less like morbid. So then I went, wow. So then he said, let's do another one. And then he said to the girl to go to another past life. And she started describing being a female, because we can actually be male or female in past lives.
Mm.
And of course, not at the same time. And what happened was she was about 45 in London in 1942. Now, I'm sure you know what was happening in 1942.
Oh, yes, in London, there were big bombs dropping everywhere.
Yes. World War II happened to
Yeah.
be, bouncing around. And there was a bombing raid.
Mm.
And what happened, though, is that I went, wow, made some notes. Now, what happened that really got me interested in past life, Debbie, is that the next day she came to class and stood up and said, hey, guys, I've always wondered why I hated thunder and trains.
Mm.
No, that's a bit touching, because I could feel
Yeah.
emotion from that.
Yeah.
And I realized quickly it was from there. And then she said that really got us all going, especially me. She said, they don't bother me now.
Yeah, because you've seen it. Of course, anybody, because I'm his wife, I get to experience past life regression quite a bit. And when I first met Chris, and we'll go into this later, I had a great fear of needles. So much so that even if I saw a needle on a movie or a TV, or anybody talked about needles, I would just collapse. I would faint. I had no way of understanding what was happening. So when we did a past life regression, and as I say, Chris will bring this up later when he talks about his books, it cleared up instantly, and it made me go a bit like you, the aha moment of, now I understand this, and this. So Karen Ann has just asked a question: is there a connection of knee issues in a past life for me?
I'm not sure, but I'd say about 99%.
Yeah, because you've said and I know you've worked with some amazing results in the past. When we've been on tour, I'm doing my thing, I'm doing all the mediumship thing, and Chris is doing the past life regression. And I can remember this, was it Sudbury or Sault Ste. Marie? I can't remember, one of those two places. And the Chris in those days was having talks, and of course at the moment he can't do talks, so hence we're having this conversation on here. But we were he was at a place doing his talk, and it was up this very tall stairway, and somebody who had seen you somewhere else and wanted their mother to come, who was having problems with her knees, and I remember that, and she was having problems with walking. She actually walked with two canes, and of course she walked all the way up the stairs with help from everybody to get her up there to listen to the talk. And then she booked an appointment the next day with you. And of course, I had finished all my sessions and readings and things, and I'd come in, and her daughter was waiting at the bottom of the stairs her to finish. And all of a sudden the door flung open from upstairs, and she came out and she was like woohooing down the stairwell, and she was literally jumping or sort of almost like in a fast pace. And she got to the bottom of the stairs and she threw her 2 canes to her door. She said, "I don't need these anymore." And I can remember her daughter and I going like almost in shock and excitement and everything. And so
she didn't use them going down the stairs. Yeah.
No, she didn't use them going down the stairs, but she had going up the stairs, because I remember that the night before when I was assisting with the talk. But so, is there a connection issue with your knee? It could be. And I suppose that would be, have a conversation with Chris afterwards, on maybe send him a private message, and then you and he can have a quick chat and then see where you go from there. But he doesn't do readings. Let's be very clear on that. How dare you? I do readings, okay? But I don't do them in that way. So Jackie said, if possible, may I find out if something in my past life is stopping me from working on myself, weight, love, for myself?
Yeah.
So, Phil, can you explain that, Chris, a little bit?
Well, let me finish the other part. I
suppose I don't.
You're right. I don't do readings. In fact, I get annoyed when people say, "Can I get a reading?" And I'll say, "Go see Debbie." Because I don't read you. See, reading is a misnomer for what I do, is because that means that I'm telling you that, oh, wow, I'll get a feeling you are a gypsy and that type of thing. Well, first of all, how does that help you? That's amusement.
Yeah.
And why not take care of your existing, persistent aches, pains, fears, and phobias, etc., that way, not like when people say, "What was I in a past life?" I've had people with over 2,000 past lives. How would I answer that question? Some only have 10 or 20. It depends how whether you're new soul or old soul. But the whole point is, it's like the unknown noise. Once you know what a noise is in the dark that's bothering you, and it turns out to be something that isn't bothering you, it's nothing to be afraid of, why would that noise bother you again? So that is how my system works, the unknown noise. When the lady saw where her pains in her legs came from and realized it wasn't this life, it's easy to let it go. The premise on this is that it's to do with lessons. And again, this all evolved. I slowly been working on thousands of people and learning. I learn as I go along. Something will pop up that I'll add to, oh, I should do this with my next clients. And one of the things is that it's to do with lessons.
Yeah.
Now, another quick advantage of my system is you don't have to believe in past lives. In fact, I don't care if you believe in it or not. It's irrelevant. But if your ache or pain disappears and you thought you made up the fact, like you say in your mind's eye, I fell down a flight of stairs, but it's gone, who cares?
Yeah.
But if you believe in it, it does go a lot faster. So the whole point is, it's lesson not finished. You have to finish it in this life, but your body cell memory drags along the aches and pains that came from that because it feels it's part of it and you still should have it. No, you don't. So I help you get rid of that so you could finish your lessons uninhibited.
Yeah. And going back to the readings part with past life, like sometimes somebody will come to me and there's something that comes up to do with whatever it is to do with the past life. But as I say, all I can see is this or this or this. And usually I say if it's causing you a problem in this life, then go and see Chris, because that's what he does. He sort of connects you to it. And what I loved, I remember when I had my very first session with you, and it was actually after workshop. Jennifer's just asked, do you do workshops? Not so much now. Chris usually does a talk, which covers for 2 hours explaining about it. And then he books one-on-one sessions because it works better, doesn't it? But that time when I went, it was to an all-day workshop. And that's actually where we met. And that was thanks to my friend Claire Morgan, who told me about the workshop. But anyway, when we were in there,
this is all in England too.
In England, the workshop is that everybody does it in a group, so it's not as personalized. That's why you moved more to doing one-on-ones, because then that person, you can talk directly just to one person, not to a group where as you said, you can't say, what are you seeing, what are you seeing, what are you seeing, because it detracts from everybody else. So the part that I was leading to is I booked a private session with Chris the next day. And of course, that whole process that you explained before we started put me at ease, because it's like, I've never experienced anything like this before, so I don't know what to expect. And and I remember you saying to me at that time, if there's a situation that is becoming a little bit scary for you, or you're not wanting to, you can just step back from it, see it like a movie. So explain how that works.
Well, it's like you're in charge. You're
Yeah.
watching it. You're not gonna, if you slightly get a feeling of, like, say you're wanting to work on a past life of heights, and a lot of people with distinctive, strong fears often get the butterflies and stuff just talking about it. So what it is that, and I've done thousands of these, and I probably only had maybe 10 that I actually had to do this. I just simply say, if they're a little edgy, just move back. A good example is, if I had a bouquet of flowers and they're quite pretty, but they stink, if I hold them further out, where are they?
They're away from you. Yeah.
They're still pretty, but the smell doesn't bother you. So
Yeah.
it's very, very rare, but it's good to know that you're in charge at all times. There's no screaming. Nobody runs into the dark. It's all BS. It's all television. Too much people see.
Well, I know it's a bit like you see a pentagram and it's the devil, or you see tarot cards and the hangman comes up.
Stereotypes. Stereotyping.
Yeah, it's very much Hollywood, and sometimes they give us a bad rap. I love the one that you've shared in when you're doing your talks, is the one about the swinging watch.
Oh God. Stereotyping. See, a lot of times movies and that have to do this, because when you're doing a hypnosis session, one guy is talking and the other person had their eyes closed. So on TV, it'd be like, what are they doing? But if you see a watch swinging back and forth, it's called, they're doing hypnosis, which is 100% impossible, because how do you relax with your eyes open? I start you off with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
That's why you close your eyes when you go to sleep. So it's just stereotyping, very annoying. In fact, explaining hypnosis. One thing about hypnosis, Debbie, as you're well aware, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I cannot walk up to you. We get people that say, well, what if you walk up and look me in the eyes and then hypnotize, make me do something I don't want to do? Well, think of some logic here. I know it's kind of hard. Logic. If I could do that, do you think the police might be interested in what is he doing, making people rob banks or go kill people? It's bullshit. And you can also learn to do hypnosis yourself in about what I can teach you in an hour how to do hypnosis. Therefore, you could now do it, and you could have a battle of who hypnotized. It doesn't work that way. I think daydreaming is hypnosis.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, give us some examples of things that we will, daydreaming. What was the other one?
Well, it's deep. First of all, it's deep relaxation. Deep relaxation. It's just that your subconscious memories are easy to get to. But daydreaming is also hypnosis. When people say they've never been hypnotized, and I'll say, have you ever read a book or watched a TV show or a movie so intent you don't hear people talking to you? You're in hypnosis. Do you ever sleep every 24 hours? Yes, that's hypnosis. When I say how many people have been hypnotized, everybody has to put their hand up.
Yeah. So Jenny just said, I love that. It's all about lessons. And some, like, we're here in, from my teachings, I always say to people, we're here in our incarnate this time, whatever form we took on, to experience and to learn. And if a debilitating ache or pain or something's happened to us that's holding us back, then it can get in the way of us completing our lessons, and like a whole cycle. I don't want to come back and do it again. I remember you back at the workshop, actually, there was a lady there that had whiplash or she'd had whiplash, and she'd been in a car accident and had whiplash. And so tell everyone about that.
Well, what it is that, again, our body can heal itself. We're very good. Subconscious is actually in control of your immune system if you leave it alone and quit giving BS to it. And what happens, like, for example, if you break a bone, 6, 7, 8 weeks, that bone is okay. But if you get a pain from that bone area, for years afterwards, you've triggered a past life memory. A lot of our aches and pains and fear and phobias, they don't necessarily start from birth. Sometimes they're triggered later, or somebody says, well, I know where that came from. I was in a car accident. Well, that's good. Then why has it been bothering you for 20
Yeah.
years? A good example is a lady on her last tour up in Grand Prairie. She had a car accident a year and a half earlier in her left shoulder. And I said, how much can you move it? She said she went up to about here, and then her hand was just shaking. And I said, have you done anything for that? And she said, yes, for the last 9 months, I've been doing physiotherapy.
Yeah.
Now,
And I know that from
physiotherapy,
having,
yeah,
and I know that from having
physiotherapy
a
can
car
work
accident
quite well.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the session, she was raising her hand up and laughing, and she said she could almost no pain whatsoever. Now, that was like in the whole session. In a session, I can take care of 2 to 7 different things. It's not like you come back and see me every week for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
That's or a therapist seem to make their income and not necessarily help you. Can, but not necessarily. Whereas mine is done in an hour and a half session, take care of a number of things.
And as you say, it's seeing what was the cause of it, because sometimes things that, like the car accident, the lady back, I think it was in England, when she'd had the car accident, and that was the trigger for something in this life. But the one that I love when you tell it is about the lady that was a she used to rob stagecoaches in England. Can you remember that one? I do. From years ago, she used to rob stagecoaches, and that was in the past life, but she got caught, and it was for doing something silly or for something stupid. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. What her, a lot of people have, like she did, what I call turtleneck syndrome.
Yeah. Oh, right.
It means that people can't, you don't like people touching your neck or touching you at all, or wearing turtlenecks or jewelry. And about 40% of the world, especially women, but men too, because we've been female in the past, but also hung too, it's because in a past life you've been hung or choked or beheaded. And what happened was, it means that you didn't finish the lesson. Quite likely you did. It was cut short. And because that lesson hasn't been finished, your body, your subconscious memory still say you got to finish that lesson. And it brings in, like memory. Let me explain quick. I like using logic here. The AMA, American Medical Association, 2 years ago finally have given the proof or of studies that they've proven that people that have had organ transplants are picking up the traits of the person that had that organ. Guy didn't like pizza, now he likes pizza. I'm just saying, just hope they don't give you a part from a serial killer. Just kidding. They wouldn't do that.
Jennifer's just said, I have that. So the turtlenecks, can't stand anything around my neck. So the chances are, Jennifer, you've been hung. What was it? Hung, choked,
strangled, or beheaded.
Or beheaded. But of course, that was in that life. If it's affecting you in this life, then you don't want that.
Body cell memory. Yeah,
it's a body cell memory. That was it. I was trying to remember. Vicky actually asked, I was wondering if it's like having Akashic records done.
No, I don't get into that.
In the Akashic records, I can answer that. That is more looking at the cellular memory of how it's affecting you in this lifetime to other lifetimes. I'm not sure if in Akashic records, and I'm not an Akashic record expert, is if that you can go through that and clear it. I know that you've had people that have done Akashic record stuff in the past, but they've still come to you because they haven't been able to sort it out. Like sometimes we can't get our own messages because we step in the way of it. That's why we go to a reader or something like that.
Like I cannot do what I do to myself.
Yeah.
Not at all. Because what it's about is that when you're relaxed, I help you see your subconscious memories. And I ask you questions. That means I'm thinking. Now, if I tried to do this to myself, I'd have to be totally relaxed. It's like doing your own meditation. You still got to think and read. So it's not going to be as good as when you have somebody direct it.
Yeah.
So, no. I did have somebody ask me a question long ago. I said, how many times do you have to do this to yourself before you can start seeing your own past lives? And I said, never.
Yeah, it's hard because
no.
it's like
in
doing
a meditation, you might see a past life, but it'd just be maybe a knight riding across the,
Yeah.
you know, in
Like we
the
can get
distance.
flashes, because sometimes people say to me, "Oh, I saw myself. I saw this witch, or I saw this person in a past life," and it keeps on reoccurring. So yeah, it's a memory that's coming up, and sometimes things trigger it, and then it doesn't go away. Like persistent aches and pains, as you were saying, that if we've had the car accident, now you explain this very well, and I'm not going to be able to do it. Something causes the trigger to do something. Explain that.
It just causes it to come up.
Yeah. So
Like
if we've had the
I've had
car,
people with fears of heights, and they didn't start with it to have something happen during
yeah,
later on in their life, and then they say, "Oh, it's because somebody scared me with heights." No, if it is, see, there's one thing I find amusing is that with fear of heights, I'm sorry, fears and phobias. I've actually dealt with over 141 different fears and phobias. You know, lots of them are ones of. But the top 4 fears, what do you think they are?
Oh yeah, let's see if anybody can pop that up.
Yeah. What's the 4 most common
What do you think
fears?
are the 4 most common fears? Pop them up on there. No prize, but if you want to just go for it, it's okay. It's just a bit of fun, so that you're interacting. So I know that my fear was not one of the top 4s, the fear of needles. So you can eliminate that one. So anybody want to play? Okay, spiders. Jennifer's just said spiders. What number is that? Way down on the list.
About 12.
Heights. Monixa said
Number
heights.
1. Number 1.
Number 1 is heights. Okay, anybody else want to play? So we got spiders in there. Heights. Water, fire.
Deep water.
Yeah.
Fear of deep water, number 3.
Anna's put success.
Yes, very good.
Oh, yes, that is.
How did you know that?
Good job. Small spaces. Jennifer says small spaces. Heights and snakes.
Claustrophobia.
Rejection.
So the top 4 are heights, claustrophobia, success, and deep water.
Yeah. Wow.
So now the heights, for example, I do get people that say, well, I hear people say you should face your fears. To use a bit of French, bullshit. It doesn't work, because if you don't know what it is, you can numb yourself to it. A good example is a young guy in his 30s. I had a session with him a few years ago in BC. He had a very strong fear of heights. In fact, as he was talking about it, he was still getting butterflies and the sweats. And I said, what did you do anything about this fear? He says, yes, I decided to face my fears. And I said, what'd you do? And he said, I went skydiving. And I went, wow. I said, that would do something. And he said, it was interesting. I said, did it help you? And he said, I still can't climb ladders.
Yeah.
I said, it's still there. In a session with him that day, I don't remember offhand what it was, because I've done thousands of sessions. And but it would be something to do with falling or something. But I do a little test with people after, on each part in the session. I'll say, now picture a scene in your current life that bothers you about heights. And I can feel it. Now, I don't see any of this stuff. I'm not psychic. I don't see, but I'm slowly learning that through the years that my third eye likes to tell me things. When somebody started to open up and feel things, anybody heard of third eye? It comes up, and I could tell right off the bat. And I said 0 to 10. 10 is the way you have a fear of heights. Get a feeling or number. Tell me the number. What is your number for the 0 to 10 of fear of heights? He said about a 1.
Yeah.
And it's never been that way for like 20 years or however old it is. That's how quick these go. But if you don't know what it is, now I'll give you a more exact example. The unknown noise. I like you to everybody to do a word picture. Keep your eyes open. Pretend you're living alone. It's a dark, spooky, windy night, and the wind's howling. I usually get people to howl in there. So, there, see? What? I didn't have a fear before. Now I do. Anyhow, just kidding. Okay. Anyhow, you got a fear. So dark, spooky, windy night, and the wind's howling. There's a crash, and you jump up and go, what the is that? I'm being polite there. Then you hear it again. You go, oh, it's just the wind blowing a branch against the window. Now, unless you feel it's going to break, I would just ignore it and procrastinate, fix it tomorrow. Later that night, there's another crash, and you jump up and go, what the is that? And it's a different noise, and you hear it again, and it's like, I don't know what the heck that is. That's when you can run amok, and it's like somebody coming to kill you, boogeyman, somebody
Imagination
in. Yeah.
takes over.
And what happens is, unless we check it out, which most wouldn't, we pull up our bulletproof covers and try and get some sleep, which doesn't happen because you're still being scared. Next morning, you're going out the door, it's still howling, and you hear that noise because you're going off to work, and you quickly look over to the left where it came from, and you see it's a metal garbage can blowing in the wind. Now, the neighbor never had them before, it's brand new, so that's why it's an unusual sound. And you're going to make a very, very profound statement, plus some adjectives about the stupid neighbor, and that is, it's just a garbage can. Now, still more, hang in. The next night, another dark, spooky, windy night. I think it's time to move. Anyhow, garbage can, that noise happens to, the garbage can blows over, noise again, the same, 50-50, you don't even wake up. But if you do, you're going to make your profound statement, which is,
it's just garbage cans.
And that stupid neighbor.
And the stupid neighbor. Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah. Now, there is a point here. Really, there's a point. The noise is the same both nights. Why doesn't it bother you the second night?
Because
you know what it is.
What it is.
Yes.
And I love that. That's where I love the logic. It's like, yeah.
Now, if I was like a reader and said, "Oh, Debbie, it's actually," and you hadn't seen this garbage can, just a noise, I'd say, "It's garbage cans." Well, on that second night, if I had seen the reader, I would be going, "Does he really know what the heck he's talking about? He's never been here." I'm going to peek out the windows very cautiously. You open it up. It is garbage cans. Yeah. We are an animal that has to see to believe.
Yeah.
Not hear or be told. It's see to believe. That's why with my clients, in their mind's eye, their eyes are closed. I take them. I have their subconscious show them the past life that's the cause of the incident that they're complaining about or been bothering them. Yeah. Their subconscious, for some reason, always does.
Yeah.
It's because it's been working on it. Now, there are some people that aren't visual. Very few, but some. But
do you want to try that test with everybody? Is everybody open? We can play this.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, I need everybody to close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. Make sure you're not running.
Of course, if you're driving, please do not close your eyes.
Yeah. If you're stationary.
Yeah. If you're stationary watching
dangerous.
Safety of your own home.
Yes. Well, which we seem to find happening a bit. Close your eyes, please. Take a big, big, big deep breath. And a slow exhale. One more. Big deep breath. And exhale. Now, in your mind's eye, I want you to see or sense or visualize a lemon. A big, bright, sour, juicy, yellow lemon. Now, see or sense, you'll notice I say either one, yourself cutting it up, juices squirting. And now take a bite of one of those pieces of sour, juicy lemon. Feel that texture, even smell it. And there's lots of lemon. Have one more piece of that juicy, sour lemon. Okay. Now open your eyes. What I have found with doing this.
Faces.
You were what?
I was pulling faces. So
yeah, I saw that.
Going, oh, lovely. I've got my eyes shut and I'm probably pulling these grotesque faces.
Yeah.
I was salivating. I was having to.
Yeah.
Debbie's
using a big word. Her mouth was watering for those that aren't sure. Okay. What it is I've done this hundreds and hundreds of times, and I watch the groups, and when I haven't opened my eyes, I'll say, some of you are not very nice. You're making faces at me. I show them like that. And the ones that do usually laugh. So then I'll say to the group, not 100% of you have your mouth water, but hands up, how many people had their mouth water? It's usually about 75, 80%, 90 sometimes. How many people saw the lemon and how many just sensed it? Now, I find the ones that are more sensing are less likely to also have their mouth water, but not necessarily. But what I want to prove to people is I'll say there's always some that nothing happened, but let me show you how I can catch you. And one time at a talk, I did that, and this one lady was very adamant. I didn't see or taste anything. So I said, "What's your favorite dessert?" She said, "Pumpkin pie." So I said, "Close your eyes," and we all stared at her. And I said, "Picture in your mind's eye getting a piece of warm pumpkin pie with ice cream on it, taking a bite." Well, she had come with another lady, and the lady next to her was passing her tissue because this lady was wiping her mouth because her mouth was watering. So the lemons sometimes aren't the best one, but they're the most common one for making people's mouth water. But I could always find you a food that makes your mouth water. The whole point, though, there's a point here. There's no such thing as imagination. Because how could you imagine anything that makes your mouth water? You have to see it. You have to have had it. If you've never in your life tasted a lemon, I guarantee you 100% you cannot make your mouth water.
Exactly.
It doesn't water to imagination. So when people see these things, they might think they made it up, but the bottom line is it happened.
You can't make something up that you don't already know about.
Exactly.
You can, I suppose, if Stephen King is an example, you can. So
he's had past lives.
Kristen said, I need to do a past life reading. Well, Chris doesn't do readings. He does past life sessions to clear anything that's holding you back. So if this is to do with difficulty in this life or a block or something like that, then definitely. But he does not do past life readings. Okay.
The reason we're mentioning it is somebody just asked now, could I do a reading?
So, I want to now sort of bring up the fear I had of needles. And I've had, as I say at the beginning here, I've had a fear of needles all my life. I've had it to the point where I couldn't watch a movie or people talk about needles or anything like that. I would just
Schindler's List.
Yeah. So when I did this session with Chris, it was quite amazing. It was, it was traumatic for me to know that I was a Jewish doctor.
Let me. No.
Oh yeah.
Shouldn't I just read it?
Yeah. I was going to say, Chris. Okay. I'm in a couple of his books actually. He's written 4 books so far.
I'll show you them. Yeah. Yes. The first book I wrote. And can we see that? Life in the Past Land. You notice there's a guy standing at a road, and in the distance there's a ballerina and a knight,
a cowboy and a knight and a queen, and
then you at the very end.
At the end, yes.
Yeah. Now, what happened is none of my books are how to. People buy books that say how to see, how to do. Remember, as I mentioned, I can't do this to myself. You can't ask yourself questions and still not be relaxed.
Anne just said she loves your book, so that's how she knows.
Oh yeah, yes. Anne lives in Ontario, and have you got all 4 of them now?
I don't know. We'll have to find out.
She can answer that.
Yeah.
Now, what happened was these are case histories, interesting case histories. But I do get a lot of people that read them that go, "Oh, I found in this book my problem." I didn't, because I can't in a talk go over the thousands of different aches and pains and stuff like that.
Oh, so she got 3, she said.
3? Okay, so you don't have that one yet.
The one I'm in.
Yeah. Now, so what happened was I realized that case histories, they're good. People like this, they're like testimonials. It's nice to be somebody say to you, this can happen, but when you read it, that what's happened to somebody, and I mean, like, I could make them up. But I don't have time to make up 10,000 past life case histories or more. Actually, it's actually close to about 15,000. I have better things to do. And I'm not a writer anyways. So what happened is that I did, unfortunately, find that it wasn't big enough to hold all the interesting ones.
You didn't want to make it War and Peace.
Yeah, or get a hernia carrying it. Okay. But it's not that. It's just that what happened is that in the first one, I get a bit of a variety of stuff of different cases. I use technical terms, stuff. And then I realized that I need to make them more specific. So I made a series, Life in the Past Lane. So the next one that I did was who stole my book?
Fears and Phobias was the next one, or
yeah,
was
here. Yeah. So I decided this was supposed to go in the first book, and I realized it just couldn't fit in. Does that look like green or blue?
Green.
Oh, there you go.
Green.
Okay. And what it's called, Life in the Past Lane, that's the name of the series. Fears and Phobias. So they're all case histories. And
Claire
again,
says, I have all four. Claire is the person that, this is how the two of us ended up together, so it's her fault. I can cite her now as it's your fault. No, I love her. She's a clairvoyant medium as well. Amazing lady. Lives in the UK.
Tell the crowd how you met me.
Well,
because of her.
Yeah, it was because of Claire. I have to say that she had told me about this workshop that Chris was doing in the UK. And initially I said to her, yes. And then I found out I couldn't go. But then I ended up going. That's how I met him. And then she lost her best friend, she said. But she doesn't, because I'm here in Canada. So now she gets to visit me here. And will do soon when the veil is lifted. She's on a plane. She's coming here.
I've been to Mexico twice to see us.
And she came to Mexico, and yeah, she's toured with myself, and we've done 2 small mediums at large. She's an amazing lady. So tell us about. So sorry, we got off the subject of the book. So aches and pains.
Then I did another one of interesting case searches on aches and pains. Now those are more in that area, but I decided on the 4th one. I actually have 6 planned. This is number 4. This one is called Life of the Past Lane, Crimes Against Humanity, as you can read. So a similar color, but this cover, but this is red for a reason. It's because these are the things that people have done to each other in history. Torture, all these kind of things. So
Helga Gray said, thank you for the books. I enjoyed reading them very much. Yes.
Oh, Helga in Regina, if I recall.
Stephanie said, I'd love one if you have time. Yes, we can. A couple of people have asked about past life regression sessions with Chris. So hold that thought, and he'll tell you about that at the end, okay?
And and the books too.
And also about the book.
Because I got a deal on them for because of today.
So the red one, which is the one I'm in.
You're in a couple, but let me put on my cheap $2 glasses for reading.
This is because this for me with the needles, I'd had it all my life, and there wasn't a case of, how did it happen or did it start? Because as kids, so okay, my name's Anderson. At school, we would all go, we would have any vaccinations, etc. at school. And of course, being Anderson, that's the first of the alphabet. So I would always go in first, but I'd only see the needle. I go, flake. And then the nurse, they would have to carry me out on a stretcher, which would make everybody else fearful. So they used to make me go at the end. So that's how bad it was. It wasn't, and even when my son was growing up, I didn't want to pass a fear onto him. So when we would go for any injections that he would have, I would always look the other way and, be trying to not even see the needle, because it was just embarrassing. Can you imagine holding your small child and then fainting? That's how he got the bump. Go there. So when I did this session with Chris, it was certainly a huge aha moment for me. And it reflected. So Chris, read away.
Okay, I have the case histories in sections. Now, this is the section actually to do. In fact, the titles, the chapters for the Crimes Against Humanity are serial killers, Jack the Ripper, World War II atrocities, witches, torture, dungeon, sexual assault, and that favorite one, miscellaneous. Because there's a few of them that you just can't.
I thought you were going to say Mussolini then. I was going to say there's a whole lot on Mussolini.
Oh, next book. Okay. Now, what I do is I certainly don't put the name of the client in here. In fact, I just put them numerically. Now, reading this carefully, this client had a very strong fear of needles. So I said to her, describe what you are seeing in your mind's eye. She replied, I'm a male Jewish doctor. Hitler ordered experiments done on Jewish prisoners. This is World War II. I was forced to conduct experiments on my fellow Jews under threat that my family would be killed. These experiments involved needles, injecting chemicals into them. I did not like doing this, but I knew that I had no choice. I finally reached the point where I could not do this any longer and told them they could do anything they want to me, but just let my family go. Did it work? I said. And she replied, they brought my family into a room with me, and I was forced to watch them shoot each member of my family and in front of me. Then they shot me. Now, after seeing this past life, this client has realized that she no longer has a fear of needles.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't an interesting thing is that I've done enough sessions with people that I've had a few times where I've actually confirmed a past life of somebody else being in that past life, and they were not people that knew each other, that type of thing. So I was working with a client on food allergies concerns. And I said, where are you? Client, inside a building used for experiments, like a laboratory. Lots of people there, scientists, doctors, some in long white coats. Some people are in rags. We are experimented on. The poor. I am poor. Male, age 21. This is in Germany in 1940 during World War II. Why are you being experimented on? I asked. The Nazis wanted to learn how to make a super soldier, test the limits of the human body. Were the people being experimented on from a certain religion? Yes, Jewish. Turning the page. Okay. What did they do to you? Many things. Injected with syringes. Painful? Most of the time. Most common injection was into the heart. It didn't work. We are contained in a closed space when not being used. No windows. I was weak and sick. No mind, cloudy, hard to think. Only men here. The women are experimented on in a different building, different types of experiments. They didn't want to cross contamination in case it was sexual. They feared that, not likely. We had no energy. The experimenting was not common knowledge. I recalled the case of the history of the one and it was the one I just read to you. As I questioned the client without leading to collaborate, I said, were all the doctors German? No, there was a Jewish doctor. They laughed about it. He wasn't there at this building. He was forced to experiment with the women. Cruelty to him being Jewish. He was the only Jewish doctor I heard that was ever used.
Yeah.
Now, the odds that this is the same one that Debbie was in is like, I don't know about you, but I would say about 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have to say, everyone, like growing up, I don't have, as I know, any Jewish connections in my family, but I couldn't watch anything to do with the concentration camps, and so much so that when I went to watch Schindler's List many years ago, I couldn't watch it. I was literally feeling myself wrenching, feeling sick, and anytime I saw anything with Belson or anything like that, I would literally almost throw up, which in itself is expected because it's a horrific thing to see. But when I heard that's what I had done, I was I was able to actually watch the movie without having what Chris would call an ab reaction or a fear of it. So, and now, yes, I can go and have blood taken and it doesn't bother me. Yes, I drink plenty of water beforehand because I have those kind of veins that jump and roll, but I don't have the same kind of anxiety. If even going to the dentist to have any fillings or anything done, and I would go into absolute fear beforehand, and it was ridiculous. So with something like that, to get that cleared up for me, for when we have to go and have blood taken or anything like that, is quite something, because that particular story in the basis of what's going on in our society at the moment, and the thing about the superhuman vaccine and stuff, it sort of brings a lot quite to the beginning here. So I have so many questions thus far. I'm just going back here because a few people had asked some questions here. Where can I get your books available? Cindy had said.
At my place.
Yeah, they are actually available at White Feather Holistic Arts. They have them there. Some of them. I don't know if they have all of them. That's in Windsor. But you can buy them online from Chris. Or
there are about 20 stores across Canada that do carry them. But at the moment, I don't know how many they still have. And also,
or how many are open.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And also, unless you live there, you're also going to be paying tax on it and stuff. I will explain at the end of the talk here that I have a deal on them. And in fact, I just sent off some to West Virginia and some of the states too, as well as Canada. I've sent some to Australia. And I'll explain that in a moment after I finish this one. I got another one I just wanted to talk about. Is sleeping.
It's probably a nicer one.
Yeah.
But I wanted to have that because it had such an impact on my life without even realizing it was a past life. Because I thought, well, it must be just I must have had a bad experience as a child with a vaccination, but I couldn't recall any in this lifetime. So for me to be fearful of something, it's like, not that you have to go and have blood taken every day or go to the dentist every day, but it was something like, I want to be able to watch a movie and not see the needle come up on the screen and me go down into, flaking out. So it was very pivotal for me going through that. And of course, Chris and I have been able to experience lifetimes where we've been together as well. So if we get time, we can share some of those. But yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Sleeping concerns. Actually, this will have something to do with the number 2. Yeah, I'm not going to remind you until I get to it. What happened is that, usually I say if anybody here have problem sleeping, there's 2 ways of going to sleep: quick or slow. Mind you, some people say they go to sleep quick and forget to mention that they wake up middle of the night and stay awake for 2 or 3 hours. So what happened though is that, yeah, oh yeah, so I heard. And what happened is that the reason why a lot of people have a hard time going to sleep is, and it's unfortunately not stereotyping, unfortunately more female. It's too much what if, what's going on, what are I going to do? Like, how many times do you have to go over a what if before you've flogged it to death? Go to sleep. You see, our conscious actually does have a memory. It's a very short memory. It only holds what you do today. The conscious is actually a processor. It's only about 5% of your mind. The 95% is your subcon, which is your storage. It stores every single detail of every single. It can hold thousands of past lives. It's really amazing. Now, what happened though is that the conscious can and does absorb and hold what you did today. That's why you can remember better today than tomorrow what you did today. So why we have to sleep every 24 hours is actually not just because you got new sheets and new bed or something to do or a hobby. It's because your conscious only holds so much. It can get full. You ever had times where you've been studying a lot for exams and after a while it just feels like your head, it's bouncing off? Stop. You're not going to learn anymore. Go to sleep. When you sleep, your conscious, subconscious join, because the conscious is bouncing around 3 times faster than the subconscious. So that's why they don't connect well. So when you slow down and relax, they get closer and closer. When you go to sleep, they join. Everything you did for the day drops down, is filed and sorted. Then you start the next day with a nice, fresh, open conscious, ready to absorb more stuff. A big technical term again, stuff. If you don't get a good night's sleep, has anybody ever had that? It's not always the best. The next morning when you wake up, you're still a bit tired or a bit groggy. It's because you're still maybe half full. So it doesn't take much to fill it up again. So what I'm leading to is that you do have to get a good night's sleep.
Good morning, Sue. Hi, Carol. Sue from Kelowna. She's just joined us.
There's Susan too from Kelowna too.
And Carol Knockhard. Love you guys.
Oh yeah, yes, I remember her. Now, where was I? My name is Chris Lee. I'm past that now. Oh yeah. Okay, where was I?
Talking about sleep, not having enough sleep, and you're going to read something from your book.
What if? Now, unfortunately, women can blame physical. There's a lady and a husband they wrote a book, and I thought they were English, but when they were in Australia, got corrected. They were English. They're an Australian couple.
Australian,
yeah, and they were scientists, and they wrote a book, really catchy title. Men don't listen, and women can't read maps.
Read maps, yes.
And when I do that and say that, I can see women in the audience going, shaking. It's to do with the physical brain. Now we're talking about the brain. This is the left brain, right brain, nothing to do with mind.
Yeah.
Which that's conscious, subconscious. What happened was back in the, through evolution, they've proven from testing that women's brains can start conversations in 5 different places.
Probably more.
Some more. I won't mention Debbie's name. And some men have no place. So we can only start 1 conversation. Women can do 5. So what it means is that, and this is a good pat yourself on the back, women can multitask better than men. It's a fact. And nothing to do with training. I mean, there's exceptions, but in general. Because see, women are better at peripheral vision. Men are better at depth perception because they can, if, go hunting, the rhino or the mammoths and stuff, that they have to see depth. Women are better at peripheral. They have to see which child is being eaten first and which one to save or something. So that is some of the difference. But the conversation, that's where it goes. So what happened though is that when they're going to sleep, they got 5 times more what if. Oh, like if I have a what if, I'll think about it for a moment. I can go this way, I can do that. That's done. If you get a good night's sleep,
I can be having a conversation with it in bed, and then I hear
from me.
Oh, okay, the conversation's ended. Good night.
Yeah, I'm done.
So quickly he goes to sleep. Yeah. I go to sleep quickly, but if I'm having a conversation with somebody, I like to usually finish it before I go to sleep. How rude of you.
So what was leading to, if you wake up in the morning refreshed, dropping down, having lots of sleep, you can handle the what ifs better the next day. Now, there is another reason, though, for having poor sleep. And it means, Jenny, that you were killed while you were sleeping.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yes. So what your subconscious is doing, it's saying, don't go to sleep. We got killed.
You died last time.
Yes. So that is one of the things that is a problem. So not just the what if. So let me read an interesting one here. And
this is from book 1, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, this is book 1. Book 1 has a bit of variety. Just to give you a quick example where the other ones are more specific. Book 1 covers turtleneck syndrome, sleep concerns, allergies, cracking your knuckles, hearing, bladder issues, skin arthritis. So it was a bit of a mixture. Irritable bowel syndrome, chewing nails. So we all these things can be taken care of.
Yeah.
But let me just go to this one here, a sleep concern. Now, I have people that do tell me that they wake up at a certain time in the morning every night. Have you heard of that? Yes, I have. So, reading from the book. One of the concerns the woman in my chair had come to see me about was her waking up in the middle of the night. It is the weirdest thing, she told me. It doesn't seem to matter what time I go to bed. I always wake up between 2 and 2:30 in the morning. Now we are examining the past life that was the cause. So I don't say, go. All I have your subconscious do, I just simply direct. Let your subconscious take you back to the past life that's caused your concern. It's not magic. There's no spit nickels and spin around. It's very simple. I don't tell you what past life it came from for 2 reasons. 1, I haven't got a clue. 2, if I did, I wouldn't tell you because you had to see the garbage can to know it's a garbage can than me telling you. Remember that example? So continuing, are you indoors or outdoors? I asked. There was a long pause, and in her mind's eye, eyes are closed. She said, both. Take a deep breath, I suggested. It will come clearer. I waited as she did so. Now, do you sense whether you are indoors or outdoors? My client hesitated. I'm in a box, she murmured. A moment later, it became clear to her. I'm in a coffin.
Oh.
Realization crossed her face, and I'm not dead.
Oh.
That would be a problem, I thought to myself, but they thought you were dead. Yes, my client. I was unconscious and they buried me a few hours ago. I'm in the graveyard and I just woke up. Back in the olden days, do you think they had good tests for seeing if you're awake or dead or alive?
No.
A feather under your nose or a mirror? That was it. Oh, no.
Can you imagine if you've got very shallow breathing and you've not even fogged the mirror there?
Well,
she's dead.
If you're in a coma, you don't breathe an awful lot.
No. Oh, exactly. Yes.
So what happened was, yes, I was unconscious and they buried me. Well, I offered, that sometimes happened back then because before science, it was easy to tell.
Yeah.
It is easier to tell if you're deceased. So what is happening? I'm yelling, but no one can hear me. I nodded sympathetically. And then, so then what happened? She sighed. I died. It ran out of air. I suffocated. I put my pen down, and after a short pause, I asked, and what time did you wake up in the coffin? Almost immediately, her face broke out in a grin just after 2 a.m.
Wow.
Your subconscious has its own clock, and it's extremely accurate. It has every single second of detail. I can ask you in a past life on one particular, what time of the day was it? And your subconscious will tell you.
Yeah. Well, she must have been from a poor family because rich families used to have somebody that would sit there and they would tie a piece of string to the person's finger, and then they would, or around their wrist, and then they would have a bell attached outside of the coffin. So obviously
they'd run it through the ground up.
You would wake up and you would start moving. The bell would start to ring, and then they would dig you up. So
that's where you get the expression, "He's a dead ringer for so and so," or his face sure rings the bell.
And that's what we call the graveyard shift as well.
Yes,
that would be where they would sit in the graveyard and actually, be sitting there. That's what they'd be paid for. So Jenna said, that makes so much sense. I have issues sleeping and have been an insomniac since I can remember. Even as a baby, my mom said I had nights and days mixed up. Wow. So that is definitely something you brought in at an early age then, this
that's
not sleeping.
A good example of that one is colicky babies.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody ever heard of colicky babies? And you can have 10 kids and it won't be all 10 of them. What it is that it's to do with like what we call nowadays nightmares, or what do you call them?
Night terrors, or
night terrors. And what happened is that it'll be your subconscious when you go to bed, sleep, when they're together, your subconscious trying to tell you about a past life that you haven't finished and should take care of it. And it's a scary one, because we generally don't have repetitive nice dreams. They're repetitive, not nice. Now, what happened is that when you come into the human form, you don't have to start getting nightmares when you're an adult. You can have them start with the moment you come in to the human form.
Yeah.
And how does a baby say, "I've got a nightmare"? They don't. So they cry a lot. So there's your problem with colicky. Actually, that brings me to another part. When I worked with, when we start off in life, our conscious, subconscious are together. They don't separate until about the age of 7 or 8. That's why a lot of kids 7 or 8 or younger have imaginary friends.
Yeah, this is what I've been saying to people.
Yeah. And what I do is, a lot of people say, "There's no such thing." You're screwing it up. Ask them to describe them. Maybe they buried treasure somewhere. But anyhow, around 7 or 8, the conscious starts to move and start thinking and logic and that type of thing. So when I started doing this, I thought the youngest I'd worked with is about 10 or 11 or 12. And I figured, if anything, then fine, I got one about 8. And I thought, that's about it. No, every time I've ever thought or been asked, "Have you ever had this happen?" I've learned long ago to shut up, because if I say no, within a day or two, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Just like when I thought I hadn't worked with kids and I was going to do a talk, remember, in Swift Current. And she emailed just before I got there, said, "I've got somebody who would like to know if you can work with kids." This was a 10-year-old. Oh, it worked perfectly. But here's the more interesting thing. I thought that was about the youngest. In Regina, when I was there, we were at Helga's place. And what happened was, I would get volunteers. So I was doing some training. I do train students, and prefer doing it live. But right now I am doing it online because we can't go out. So what happened though is that the volunteer was an older lady, and she had a granddaughter, 5 years old.
Oh yes, I remember that. I sat in with you. Yes,
gorgeous little thing.
Yeah. Oh gosh, little cutie patootie.
Yeah, and she's had nightmares all her life.
Yeah.
Waking up,
but
she wouldn't tell. Yeah, but she wouldn't tell her mom, because some of them were to do with her mom being killed in her nightmare. But she'd tell grandma. So grandma asked me if I could help. So I said, "I've never worked with somebody that young. Let's try it." So we all sat in. Grandma sat next to the grandchild, and Debbie actually sat in and chatted with her first. And she'd already knew about past lives, because her parents did that. So she sort of understood. But I explained that, "I hear you have nightmares, blah, blah, blah." So then I did my session, and she did describe the whatever, how grandma died, or mom died, and there was some kind of war scene or something. Now, I can look up my notes, but not right at the moment. What happened though is, to date, and I've checked with them a couple times since then, starting that night, and this was of summer of last year, so it's getting close to a year, she's never had a nightmare from day one.
Which is such a blessing for a small child, not to have to go through something, and especially for a small child to not be able to explain that either. You know, it's not, we get to thankfully know about past lives, and she was very lucky. She had a grandma that could actually openly talk to her granddaughter about this and explain it. But can you imagine it for children that don't? So, or even for adults that don't, and it's like, why is this keep like a reoccurring nightmare that's happening? So yeah, I do remember that, and it was so beautiful to hear afterwards that she was being able to sleep the whole night through. Small children should be able to.
I know. Now, I'm just got an example here. Heights being number one.
Oh yes, the number one fear we asked at the beginning for anybody that's just joined that.
But I'm going to go now actually to deep water too. Sorry.
Okay, all right. So deep water, heights, and what were the other heights? Deep water, fear of success.
Yeah. So let me explain a little bit quickly. Fear of success sounds a bit more not as physical as heights and stuff, but it isn't. It is. I'm sorry. What it is that a lot of people have been rich or done well in a past life. And back in those days, there wasn't any CSI, so often they got murdered and robbed and or taken care of and body thrown away. And what happened is that your subconscious is in this life still affecting you. It starts to say, don't get too rich, don't get too comfortable, don't look for promotion because we got killed when we were too rich or too powerful or whatever. So I've had people tell me that they would start making stupid decisions and sabotage. So fear of success also is called sabotaging yourself.
Self-sabotaging,
That happens. So that's number 3. Number 4, though, deep water. One thing I really like about these are the more interesting ones, is that I don't see them when people go to them. I have to ask questions. And when I'm also talking to you in the session, it'll sound just like I'm talking to you outside or before the session. I get people think my voice should go
it's quite amazing because you're there, you can see everything that's going on, and Chris
you're there. I had
voice.
One guy, he said at the end, we were chatting, we always chat, and he said, you know what, he leaned forward like wow, here's a secret. You got rid of my 4 problems, but I was here all the time. I said, yes, I watched you. You didn't leave. Where do you think you're going to waft away and disappear? How can I ask you questions? Yes, it's all about, you do not disappear. When you're daydreaming and the teacher comes in the class because you're daydreaming in school because it's boring, they're there. So it's not like you disappear.
Yeah, I know.
It's amazing. So the reason why I mentioned to a lot of people at the beginning, I'll sound the same during the session as before. The only difference is you'll have answers.
Yeah.
Before the session, I can answer the same questions. You wouldn't have answers because we have to have your subconscious come in.
So which book is this, Chris, you're reading?
This is The Fears and Phobias, number 2.
Number 2, yep.
Now, and I started to lead to is that I don't see them, and I never have a clue where they're going to go because I've never had 2 the same. I don't say like I got 10. Okay, you got number 2. Let me know when you finish it. No.
Oh, you fell from the airplane.
Yeah. So starts off, deep water, fear of deep water. Wow, my client said, I'm in the lead. I said, what do you mean? I asked. I'm in a bicycle race, she answered. I'm a 19-year-old man racing with 67 other cyclists in the 1948 European Cup in Paris.
Oh.
And I'm way out front. I was puzzled. My client was describing a past life which had something to do with her fear of deep water. Usually things are a bit more obvious.
Yes.
Bicycle
cycling got to do with deep water. Yeah.
So what happens, I asked, go to the significant point that will explain your current life fear of deep water. I do help by saying to people, go to the exact point, significant point. Because if you've got 60 years and I say, go to the life that it's caused, your subconscious will say, do you want to hear all 60 years? We don't have that long of a time. So that's why I say significant. But often it'll stop a pinch before. So I said, go to the significant point that will explain your current life fear of deep water. My client took a deep breath and then continued. I'm still in the lead, she said. There's a brick wall on my right. Oh, there's a car coming up behind me. The client explained that the car intentionally hit him and knocked him into the wall. Oh. Because you were winning, I asked. My client nodded. Because I was so far ahead, none of the other racers saw what happened. There was big distance, obviously. Because none of the other racers. The car was from a different country. The 2 men got out of the car and throw me, I'm unconscious, and the bicycle over the wall. There is water on the other side, a river.
Ah,
I
hate
drown.
the water.
Current takes my
Oh my
body.
gosh.
So I never see what a lot of times that's why I
Yeah.
find them fascinating. Wow. I
Somebody
mean,
on a cycle, I have a fear of water.
yeah.
I'd be questioning that too.
So did your energy leave the place right away? Now, the interesting thing, just to give you a little shortcut, when we die, we don't die. We are energy. We just go to another body, or we actually go to our soul group for a while and decide where we're going next. But we are energy. The only reason we come into the human form is to learn lessons, is because energy does not feel aches, pains, and those emotions. That is the reason we do.
Mm.
And apparently we have to have our group. We have a group what we're put together with. We have to mature. Now, there's a lot of things that people ask me about that I say, I don't know, but I do know how to make it work. Get rid of your aches and
Mhm.
pains and fear and phobias. Is that okay? So
Mhm.
why? I don't question. You can read books like Michael Newton, Life
Mm.
Between Life. That's a good book to read.
Yes.
So anyhow, did you energy leave? Now, our energy hangs around for a bit,
Mm.
often because it's confused and stuff like that. That's why somebody has to come and help us leave in the energy form.
Mhm.
No, she replied, I stayed until the body was found. The bike was found
Oh.
first, but it took them 2 months to find my body.
Oh my gosh, yes.
My client paused for a moment. I bet this is why I don't like riding a bicycle.
Yeah, I suppose you could now put
Yeah.
the two of those together.
When I'm doing one, often two or three other things pop up. Like I'll have somebody, doing something. They say, "Oh, that's also why I got a sore shoulder. I got an arrow in there too, or something."
Mm.
It's always so painful and tiring riding a bike. Probably is. Now think about being in deep water. How's it feel? She said the fear is gone.
Wow.
She had this for a long time. And
Yeah.
it's so quick. So you can see what I'm saying is like facing your fears and forcing people to go in the water. No. Deep
Mm.
water. See, back in the olden days, travel was on ships,
Mhm.
and wooden ships often sank. It's an interesting point. Sailors often didn't bother learning to swim because the logic, if you sink in the middle of the Atlantic, how far can you swim to
Mm.
safety?
Yeah. And I
Not
remember
very far.
that I didn't have what I thought a fear of water, but we were doing a past life regression because the one thing that I couldn't stand in this lifetime is anybody clinging onto me when I was in the water.
I know where
Like
you're going.
especially with the grandkids at that time, we were teaching them to swim, so they were cling on as they do around your neck, and I was like, "Get off, get off, get off!" And I'm standing in water that I'm only up to the waist in, but it was just this whole thing. So Chris and I did a session,
Sure,
and
blame me.
because I said, "This is crazy. Why have I got this thing?" And it was actually a life that the two of us were in together. He was my father in this particular past life, and we were on a ship.
You were my
sailing.
son.
Yeah, I was his son. Well, yeah, that's right. And I don't know, about 8 or 9 or whatever. And anyway, I was working on the ship, helping
Yeah,
with the
just
cleaning.
the two of us had a fishing ship,
Okay,
fishing
yes.
boat. Yeah.
And so I think we hit a storm
Mhm.
and went overboard. And
No,
then
it was starting to sink.
and
Yeah,
the boat was starting to sink.
yeah. We
And of
jumped
course,
out.
Chris, being my father in that life, was because I couldn't swim and I was panicking, was trying to hold me up in the water, like cuddling me or holding me. Well, what actually happened? Of course, there's no search and rescue or anything like that in those days. So we were ultimately going to die. And of course, he died first because it was cold, but where his arms were tightly around me, I couldn't. So I was pulled down and drowned as well. So now I understood people, any of the kids, when they were hanging on me and tightly, I thought I was going to drown, even though I wouldn't. So just even knowing that, even though in my eyes, I didn't see it as a fear, but I'm going, why do I respond or react this way when I'm not in any danger? So that really answered it for me in that respect as well. So we've gone over the hour, Chris. Is there anything else you wanted to share?
Can you see it?
Got yeah, but come a little bit closer because it's so relaxation plus. That's good. Perfect.
Collection.
Yeah.
Okay, besides 4 books, I developed a CD. Remember, some people still use CDs, called Relaxation Plus. not just relaxation, but relaxation
Plus.
plus. You want a copy.
Wow.
And it's about the full 15 minutes. It's a relaxation, teach you how to relax, because a lot of us don't know how to relax.
Mm-hmm.
So you can almost say this is a bit also self-hypnosis per
Mm-hmm.
se, because it's just deep relaxation. But again, you're not going to go see yourself on a horse and arm or something. But it's called teach you how to relax. One thing about our mind is that the conscious, subconscious works on repetition. Like, if you ever driven all the way home from work for about the thousandth time, get in the driveway and you realize, how the heck did I get here? You weren't even thinking this time I was supposed to stop and get groceries. Well, you automatically went on automatic mode. Your
Mm-hmm.
subconscious is there to help you. It doesn't want you to die because it needs a job. So it safely, you didn't run over anybody. I always check the wheel wells, make sure nobody's stuck in there. But no, you don't run over anybody. You do it safely. Now, what it is that you can reprogram yourself. It takes 3 or 4 weeks to reprogram, like thinking positive, all these type of things. In fact, one of my I've worked with 5 male medical doctors. So yes, you think they might be skeptical, but they know that there's the mind, especially the placebo effect. So one of them wanted to remember his dreams. A lot of people don't always remember the dreams. Some for a moment, then it what do you call it? It walks
Dissipate.
away
Yeah.
dissolves. You can actually teach yourself. He wants to remember them. So every night before he went to bed for about 3 or 4 weeks, he said, in the morning, I remember my dreams. Never say I want to or I hope to. Your subconscious goes, when? You have to say it as if it's already happened. If it's already happened, subconscious has to adjust to make it right. So he said, I remember my dreams. And he does. You can improve your memory by saying, I have a perfect memory. You'll just take a moment. 3 or 4 weeks of doing this every night before you go to sleep. I have a perfect memory. You find your memory gets better. You're not improving your memory. You're getting rid of the blocks that says you don't. Things like you must study to be smart, must read one word at a time, must there's lots of things that blocks we get in there.
Yeah.
So this teaches you. So if you listen to this for about 3 or 4 weeks, I generally recommend before you go to bed, and you're going to start finding that you'll relax a lot better and easier. And how many people out there would like to learn to relax? It actually does work.
Probably quite a few.
So I've sold hundreds and hundreds of these. Now, you asked about my special.
So how much are the CDs? You didn't say how much the CDs are.
No, I'm coming to that.
Okay.
Here's what I've got. The stores that sell my books and have for years, some actually, a couple of stores actually out of business. So what happened is they were selling them.
A lot of places have closed
since this happened too. But they generally sell them for about $20. And remember, there's 4 of them. There's Life in the Past Lane, Life in the Past Lane, Fears and Phobias, Life in the Past Lane, Aches and Pains, and finally the delightful Crimes Against Humanity.
One I'm in.
Yes. So, and what happened is that I have a special which I'll cover till the end of June. Now, just to back up, what people do is just email me and tell me which ones you want, and
Send
I
him
mail
a
them.
message on Facebook, Chrissy. So when we finish today, his name will be highlighted at the top of this. At the moment it isn't, because it comes out and I have to connect it on Facebook. So you can connect with him there and send him a private message.
Okay.
Unless you already have his email, in which case email him.
Or Facebook, or some of them are on Facebook with me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me just bring up my magic. I have 2 screens. That's why I'm looking off to the side. I'm not being rude. I have 2 screens. Okay, here's the deal. Until July 1st.
Okay.
1 book is $10.
That's good.
If you buy 2 books, it's $15 for the 2.
That's very good.
If you buy 3 books, they're $20 for 3. So you notice that if you divide by that, it gets cheaper and cheaper. And and if you buy all 4, it's $25.
Nice.
Plus, I'll throw in a copy, $10 value of the CD included.
Okay.
Plus, you'll get an extremely exciting bookmark with pictures of some of the ones.
So if somebody just wants to buy the CD, then it's $10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
no, we'll make it $5.
Oh, okay, so
$5.
$5. Okay, so if anybody wants a CD just on its own, it's $5,
Mhm.
and then I'll post the prices up of the books
Mhm.
on the feed afterwards as well, because it's a lot to digest. But also, people have asked about
I autograph
having,
them too.
and he autographs some personal, so you have
Mhm.
your own autograph book as well. But there are some people had asked, first of all, about
Sessions.
session, so they can contact you to message you through Facebook to ask you about booking a session. And if you're also to do with the books and CDs, if you're local to the Leamington, Windsor area, message him. In fact, we're actually going into Windsor tomorrow, so if you want a book or the CD or anything, we can meet you in that area, or you can come out to Leamington and pick up, or we can arrange something if you're local. Everybody else, yes, it will have to be mailed. Okay?
One thing about the sessions is that I've done the sessions also on Skype. Now, obviously, when I tour, I do sessions live right there because I'm there. But I have done sessions, like when I was in Australia, I've done sessions in Canada or over to England, or I do Skype sessions. They are very, very effective too. And at the moment, that's about the only way we can do them, but they're still extremely effective. I also train people.
Yes,
I
somebody
have
had
been
actually asked about that earlier on. So again,
training.
if you're interested in the training,
Mhm,
how they can learn to do this themselves, as in past life regression,
mhm,
and learn your technique.
mhm.
And I'm just trying to find the person that had asked that.
Okay. When I do a live training, I do bring in volunteers for people to work on, and it's not hard to find them. And then we do it live, and I listen to the different students working on people. You do get a script because it's like, 25 years I've come up with a very effective script. So it's not like you're lost and got to remember how. No, you'll have a nice script, and it's very easy to follow. And I go through it now online. In fact, one of my best graduates actually is in California. She's ever passing on more interesting stuff, and I actually put some of them in my newsletter. But a really interesting thing is that you can also help change. Okay, she has a daughter-in-law, married her son, and from day one, over 15, I think, or 18 years, her daughter-in-law was always nasty. They didn't get along well.
Tis Edia.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
And
A
then
few
what
people are saying, wow, sold.
But what happened is that
I want all
in
three.
the session, I take you to your soul group, and you can see who's in there and what have you. Sometimes we have karma in there. Now, karma is misunderstood. It is not payback. Karma is
No.
misunderstanding, usually from a previous life. And it's like, oh, are we still enemies or friends? Now, I have a forgiveness routine, and I did this with my student at the time, still student, and because she had seen her daughter-in-law in there, did a forgiveness routine, and it's now been since October. And she said she even comes over and does errands for me, and she invited us. She said, "I can't believe it. She's been nice since that day."
Yeah.
So we can. I had another lady said now she can pronounce her son-in-law's name without gritting her teeth. So, another one, her mom was always nasty to her. It was another past life problem.
Yeah.
We fixed
Yeah.
it up. Now her mother is said the first day she got back, she said, "I can't believe this. My mom's been nice to me. It's scary, but it's nice."
Wow. Well,
So we can fix other things too.
yeah. So also people can sign up for your newsletter, which is once a month. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and they can do that by going, again, messaging you, and then you can lead them to how to find it. I'll put your website on there as well, on the bottom of the feed. It's not there at the moment. When we finish this, then it will be available, I promise you.
Yes.
So anything else that you want to share with regard to offers and deals and all the above?
Yeah, we'll print them up. Again, just email me what I do, but I do need your mailing address because I have to add postage, and the postage varies on where you live.
Yes.
But because the books are so cheap, it's a lot cheaper than buying sometimes at a store and paying tax and all that stuff. Plus, they don't autograph it in the store.
And if it's local, you can pick them up or sort it out. So thank you, Chris. So I just wanted to also say, I also have a monthly newsletter. If you go to my website, vibrational-energy.com, and sign up, you actually do get sent a free meditation. It's called the I Am Mantra meditation. It's a very short meditation, but it's free for saying thank you for signing up. Also, the Vibrational Energy card reader course is next Monday, June the 1st and 2nd. It's in the evening and it's over 2 evenings. The cost is $50 Canadian. And on successful completion, you get a certificate. You will need to own this particular deck. So if you're considering doing the course and you want to do it, please send me a message first, because as we're only a week away, I can't guarantee if the post is going to get there, but I may be doing this later on, which, send me a private message, which also I want to say, this is the final week of the Vibrational Energy decks, the Sacred, the Children's deck, and the Vibrational Energy Oracle deck that are online at $15. It ends the 31st of May. As I say, all great things must come to an end. So again, if you're thinking of, if you're local, you can pick up from me or I can drop them off. We'll work out something. So send me the message first before ordering them online. Next, and thank you, Chris, for being here. It's been so much fun. Next Monday, June the 1st, I have Jen Mayhew with me. She's practiced in the dental field since 1999. So she's a dental assistant, registered dental hygienist, his hygienist here in
I've used your services. She's very good. She's
very good. She's an Amherstburg. So anyway, we're going to have the conversation about shifting perspective, aligning health. So make sure you floss before attending. I'm kidding. Okay.
She sells great toothpaste.
She sells mud toothpaste. It does taste like dirt.
Well, earth something.
It's earth something, but it's really good.
I got cinnamon dirt. Yeah, cinnamon dirt.
So anyway, Monday the 8th of June, Ida Keatley, who was on, I don't know if she's still on, and myself will be joined by Josephine Michael, who was also on earlier on and said that she loves both Chris and I. She's also known as White Owl. So she's a shaman healer. So the three of us will be doing some readings, that kind of thing. So I want to thank you for joining myself and Chris today. And as I say, once we finished this live reading here, I'll put all Chris's information up there so that you can connect with him and either find out about training, order books, have a session with him. And he is actually doing one-on-one session live if you are in the area. And now we're open and we can do a little bit more. One-on-one is okay. So that's another
you're allowed to have up to 5 people in a room.
Wow, that's good.
So but I only do session with 1.
Yes, because he's across the table from you, so you're far enough away that you're not going to be inhaling each other's bodily fluids or whatever. But anyway,
spit.
The spit. So everybody said, thank you so much for sharing. Thanks for our time. Thanks, very formative and fun. Thanks, Carol said here. Jenny said, thank you. Got lots of thank yous here. Thank you.
Thank you.
For anybody else, would love a bundle, please. So we'll sort all that out. We'll put all that on there. So, Edia signed up for the card reader course, so that's perfect.
Oh, I thought you were talking about mine.
No, my course, sorry. I was doing some blatant promotional at the end of it. So, again, thanks, everybody, for being part of today. And see you next Monday, noon Eastern, for yet another exciting time and having conversations with people. Bye-bye.
Are we still